So we'll continue with the Buddhist psychology course with the section on the Dharma. The Dharma, as spoken in the last class, is are teachings from the Buddha. It's also a path to realizing reality. Okay, so the Dharma taught by the Buddha is a gradual path. So many Westerners, including modern day people, when they encounter the Buddha's teachings, is mostly through mindfulness and meditation, right? So there are people are taught to slow down their minds, develop patience through mindfulness, sit quiet. But you'll be surprised that this isn't the first thing taught by the Buddha to everyone. Why is that so? Because not everyone is suitable for meditation. Not everyone's mind is what he called mature enough, ripe enough. So again, mind is not the brain. Mind or consciousness is the spirit. So yes, spirit is not the soul. It's not individual soul that goes on forever and forever. So don't misunderstand that. But yes, there are spirits in all spiritual path, right? That's why it's spiritual path. Back to knowing itself, that's a spiritual path. So he didn't teach that to everyone because not everyone is spiritually mature. Most people are just contented to know the very basic things to do in order to have a good rebirth or just to have a happy life here and now. They don't really care about, spiritual path or going back in union to some unaging, undying thing. They don't care, right? So the Buddha knows his audience because he can read our minds. He's a psychic. His mind is purified. He knows our karma. So he was a very effective teacher. He knows what to teach you. So I'll just lay down for you what is a gradual path. Usually to most people, the Buddha, if he doesn't know, he's new to the audience or what, he'll talk about generosity. Then next, talk about virtue, developing virtue through the precepts, 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts. And then he'll teach you to observe the full moon and the new moon days. So full moon, new moon days, a lot of Mahayanese Buddhists, they eat vegetarian, but actually it's not that. So it's actually the day to sit quiet, reflect on the Buddha's teachings. If you are meditate, you meditate. To really, to observe the 8 precepts, if you are a 5 preceptor, right? And then of course the Buddha teach you steps to heaven. If you're interested in life after death, okay, that there is actually heaven, right? Then he teach you different planes of existence. Then after that, if you're a more mature spirit, then he will tell you there are drawbacks to heaven, these different planes of existence, because they're not the full path. So then he will go on further. For a more spiritually mature person, he'll say there is renunciation. So renunciation doesn't mean that you have to be a monk or nun, because how many monks and nuns are there, right, compared to lay people? Renunciation comes from the heart, right? Renunciation is not to suppress, it's not to repress. So don't misunderstand. Renunciation is a dispassion, a giving up of, or cessation. Like let's say if you practice generosity a lot, or you have come to be able to renounce certain sensual pleasures, right? But of course the biggest renunciation that most of us have difficulty with is the body, right? How to let go of this body. You can let go of your body, you can let go of anyone's bodies. Okay, so anyway, and then 4 noble truths, which is also taught to people, a lot of people, but actually 4 noble truths, 4 hard truths. People teach in many Buddhist centers to teenagers, to children even maybe. No, I don't think children they're taught. At first it seems okay to teach teenagers 4 noble truths, but actually if you look at this layout, right, you realize that 4 noble truths is really reserved for those who are ready to listen, those more mature consciousness, more mature people who are more spiritually mature, people who are well practiced. Yeah? Right? Actually, it's not for everyone, the 4 noble truths. Okay. Then of course, the 4 noble truths is the entirety of the path. Okay, condensed into these 4 hard truths. Right. Okay. Now let's move to the Sangha. What is the Sangha? The Sangha is a community of practitioners seeking the ultimate truth. In the Buddha's time, he referred to them as noble ones, those who are gradually fully awakened. Okay, so Arya Sangha. Arya is someone who is awake. Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, who have practiced straightforwardly, who have practiced methodically, who have practiced masterfully. In other words, the four types of noble disciples, when taken as pairs, the eight when taken as individual types. They are the Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples, worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of respect, incomparable field of merit for the world. So basically, this is like a very condensed way to practice. Practice straightforwardly, meaning you don't overthink. You're not an overthinker. You're a very straightforward person. That makes it easier for you to practice spirituality. Practice methodically, meaning you are discerning. Okay, you know the methods, right? You know the methods to practice. Okay, those who have practiced masterfully means what? Masterful means that they know that the methods are not the way to awakening. They are just a way to lead you into the path. And then you master yourself with the methods you know that you require at a particular moment. That is masterful practice. Four types of noble disciples. I'll share with you the next slide. So there are four stages of awakening in early Buddhism, which we call Theravada Buddhism. The first stage of awakening is the stream enterer. Second stage is the once returner. Third is a non-returner. Fourth is an arahant. So, So what's a stream enterer? A stream enterer is somebody who has glimpsed the undying, the deathless. Somebody who has had a glimpse of the deathless, who knows that there is something that lives within, which is the deathless, which is greater than the ego, that truly doesn't die. Right? And all experience in this life goes back to this so-called emptiness. In Mahayana Buddhism, they call it emptiness. This space within you, and this space is not dead, is not inanimate, is aware. Right? So when you have that knowledge, you are a stream enterer. And then of course you will no longer have doubt in the Buddha, because by practicing all those practices, you have come to this glimpse of reality. So of course you no longer have identity view, because you know the essence shining in you is the true living thing that doesn't die. This life after life is not life after death. And you also realize that rituals, ascetic practices do not lead you into this essence, this undying in yourself. Right? Yeah, like, you know, just generosity itself. Like rituals like chanting, Upasata day, you must go and give food or whatever. You know that this will not lead to awakening. Right? When you realize all this, you are a stream enterer. So a once returner has the same glimpse as a stream enterer, but perhaps deeper glimpse. So a once returner glimpse of reality is deeper, and so they have lesser sensual pleasures and lesser hate, lesser aversion. They know that pain, for example, is also a part of consciousness. It is not to be averted, it is not to be suppressed, it's not to be repressed, and they are able to accept it more than the stream enterer. Pain, for example, death, for example. But these two will probably still experience fear at death. So then comes the non-returner, someone who has no more sensual desire, no more aversion. What a nice state to be in, no more aversion. So a one non-returner has no fear of death. They don't need to be don't need to come back in the body anymore. They probably awaken in a formless realm somewhere. Okay, maybe not formless realm. I think there's still a bit of form, right? Yeah, in a heavenly realm, pure abode. It's a very subtle form that they possess, and from there they realize full awakening. Full awakening is the Arahant, which can be realized while you have a human body. Arahant would no longer fear death, definitely, or just like the non-returner, and the Arahant would have no more restlessness, no more pride, conceit. They have no more desire for material form or formless rebirth. Right? Some people, they meditate to go to heaven, right? So in their desire, there's a, let me not have this body and form anymore, right? They want to be reborn in a formless state so that they have no more pain of the body, right? So that's a desire. So even Arahant don't have such desire, right? These are called higher fetters. So Arahant also don't have restlessness. They are totally no more ignorance. No more ignorance. Right? What is ignorance? Ignorance is everything above: identity view, doubt, asceticism, ritual rules, sensual desire, ill will, desire for form, formless realms, conceit, restlessness. Okay. The Sangha are worthy of gifts. There are 10 persons worthy of gifts, worthy of offerings, worthy of salutation. Unsurpassed merit for the world. For the world. Why do we say this? Rarely do you see anyone in the midst of your daily life who is calm, who can accept death and illness, and is contented and at ease with all the ills in life. It's very rare, isn't it? And for someone to be in a room like that with you, not only are they at ease, when you look at them, you can't help but be drawn to them because of the peace they emanate, the love they emanate. You just can't be away from them. That is why a Sangha is worthy of gifts, right? So who are the Sangha? Meaning well, you can call them saints, in SAINTS. Okay, you can call them saints of different levels. So the Tathagata, which the Buddha himself, or anyone who has awakened, is a fully enlightened one. He's definitely a Sangha. The Pacceka Buddha, someone who's enlightened without a formal community of teachings. So Ramana Maharishi, a Hindu saint I love very much, I think he's a Pacceka Buddha. He doesn't have a formal community of monks. He doesn't have a formal list of teachings, but he sits there silent, and you look at him, you just feel the divine love emanating from him to every direction. Okay, the one liberated in both respect. So this refers to an individual who is liberated in understanding and meditation. Okay, the one liberated by wisdom refers to one who is liberated through insight into impermanence of perceptions. Okay, so yeah, it's a bit deep, so I won't go too far, but these are all different ways of freeing the mind, right? You can free your mind through meditation. Through meditation, you look at your own mind, you understand your mind. There's some freedom there. When you get into tranquil states, you also realize that's a perception, and then there's wisdom, so you get liberated. Then the body witness, one who gained liberation by witnessing the impermanence of the body. So this is one who frees the mind from the body, from clinging to the body. This one has done death meditation. Next, the one attained to view, one who has seen the nature of thought itself. The nature of thought in this human mind. Once you have seen that, you realize the Four Noble Truths. You know the limitations of thought. They cannot go between left and right, man, woman, good or bad. You have seen that, you realize that. You no longer reject the so-called bad or negative. You realize they are as equal as good. That's when you have realized the Four Noble Truths. The one liberated by faith, one who due to the faith of the triple gem walks the path, attains the fruit. So faith, you can be liberated by faith. Like in Christianity is faith, in Islam is faith, but they only provide you faith alone. Over here there are many different ways. What is faith? Faith is when there's a practice in the Thai forest tradition where you think of the Buddha by reciting the word Buddho. So you don't recite it mechanically. You recite the word Buddho by truly feeling the Buddha residing in yourself. Just like you think of Jesus, what do you think of when you think of Jesus? You think of love, forgiveness. You think of wisdom too. Right? You think of the Buddha, you think of wisdom. You think of this peace and great love. Right? And then you can feel their presence, energy inside you yourself, as if you yourself is the Buddha or Jesus when you think of them. This is liberation by faith. If you can do this, great. Then the Dharma follower, one who with discernment sees the truth of the teaching, continues to walk the path of the practice. So you see, even one who is just a practitioner, the Dharma follower, who investigates the path taught by the Buddha, is a Sangha. Why? Because they are learning not to add harm to the world, in our dark world. They are not just learning not to harm the world. If they cannot send out loving kindness, at least they don't do harm to you, So even they are a Sangha. Then the faith follower, one who enters the path through confidence in the Buddha straight away. Some people are just like that, right? I'm definitely not like that, as you can tell. I'm not satisfied with people telling me, oh yeah, there's Nibbana, go for it, right? It exists right here and now, right? So I need to investigate and do all of these practices. So some people with faith, all they need is to remember the triple gems, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, either one or, and they can liberate from there. Clan member, this refers to the monastic community regardless of their attainment. That means this is everyone who is practicing, who has awakened or are just practitioners, right? Everyone here is a Sangha. Faith and Dharma followers. So the Buddha said, mendicants, form is impermanent, the body is impermanent. It decays, perishes, but not just body is impermanent. Feeling, perception, choices, meaning your thoughts. Just now I mentioned thoughts, right? Understand the nature of your thought. You can only make two choices, yes or no, man, woman, left, right. Okay? Realize this, you realize Four Noble Truths. And consciousness are impermanent, decaying and perishing. Someone who has faith and confidence in these teachings is called a follower by faith. They have arrived at confidence the right way, arrived at the level of the true person, they have transcended the level of the untrue person. They can't do any deed which will make them be reborn in hell, animal realm or the ghost realm. They can't die without realizing the fruit of stream entry. So I would say a faith follower and a Dharma follower here is somebody who has already entered the stream, right? Entered the stream meaning they are on the way to glimpsing reality. Someone who accepts this teaching after considering them with a degree of wisdom is called a follower of the teachings. So someone who is wise, who investigates, right? They've arrived at confidence the right way. Okay? They can't do any deed which will make them be reborn in a hell, animal or ghost realm. They can't die without realizing the fruit of stream entry. So again, they are on the way to realizing, having a glimpse of that reality. Someone who understands and sees these principles is called a stream enterer, not liable to be reborn in the underworld, bound for awakening. Right? So this person has glimpsed. Yeah, I would like to retract. I think this person has glimpsed reality, has glimpsed the Dhamma, have had a glimpse of the undying, the deathless. At the fruit of stream entry, they would become one's returner. So in their next life, they would have less, they would reduce their greed and ill will a lot more, okay, than this life. Verified faith, not blind faith. So a Dhamma follower, investigator of truth, has faith. And a faith follower also has Dhamma. Meaning in Buddhism, you don't follow blindly with faith. You don't follow when somebody tells you, hey, I'm telling you the truth, this is the way, you have to follow me, right? So a Dhamma follower definitely will not believe someone who tells him there is a God, you have to have faith in God, then you'll be saved, right? That is not a Dhamma follower. A Dhamma follower will investigate those teachings, right? And through investigating those teachings, a Dhamma follower develops faith. Similarly, a faith follower also has Dhamma, okay? A faith follower has faith in what the Buddha taught. And because of the faith in what the Buddha taught, the faith follower will follow those steps. And in following those steps, the faith follower has a glimpse of reality and also gains confidence. So it's verified faith, okay? Faith is very important, okay? It is very, very important, right? So this will be the last slide for this session. Suppose there was a pit of glowing coals deeper than a man's height, full of glowing coals that neither flame nor smoke. Then a person would come along who wants to live, doesn't want to die, who wants to be happy and recoils from pain. Then two strong men would grab them by the arms, drag them towards the pit of glowing coals. What do you think, householder? Wouldn't that person writhe and struggle to and fro? Yes, sir. And why is that? For that person knows, if I would fall into that pit of glowing coals, that will result in my death or deadly pain. So this is our this is our life. We're all walking towards death. Every day when we wake up, we are closer to death. It's like walking towards a glowing pit of coal, burning coal, right? There's pain we don't want to experience. There's the end of this body we don't want to experience. So we don't even bother to ask, where does this fear, this suffering come from? Is it predetermined by fate or our actions? Is there any way our actions can reverse this suffering? We simply put up a struggle, and every day we do what we can to escape. When we don't like something at work, we find out ways to escape. When we don't like something at home, we go out, find a friend to talk to escape. But when the ultimate end of life comes, when the final illness comes, none of us can escape. So there are twofold reaction to this. First, we are bewildered. Why is this happening to me? Some people get so angry, right? We search for a way to put an end to suffering. Then he stated that all he taught was suffering and the end of suffering. He was responding to these two reactions, providing an explanation of suffering and its end, so as to do away with our bewilderment. At the same time showing the way to the end of suffering as a way of satisfying our search. So actually, spiritual search is really the search to the end of suffering. First, we are bewildered, why is this happening to me? And hopefully, by asking this question, one searches in one's heart. How do I put an end to these reactions to what I don't like? How do I put an end to mental suffering? This similarly also explains why the idea of Buddhism without faith holds little appeal for people suffering from serious illness, oppression, poverty, or racism. Their experience has shown that the only way to overcome these obstacles is to pursue and practice leading to the truth of the Dhamma, which require faith as their rock-solid foundation. So what he's trying to say is, if you truly want to know suffering, get an answer to suffering, and so as to put an end to it, you must have faith that the path works. Why? Because it's any spiritual path that is easy is not really a path. You do need faith and courage to walk through them, right? So that's the end for this session. Thank you very much for listening.